Everybody, this is Ryan, a founder and partner at firmTRAK Solutions. I'm here on a quick Zoom meeting this Friday afternoon with Rich Marvel, the other founder and partner of firmTRAK Solutions. And we wanted to touch base with our folks and small business owners who are maybe thinking about getting a working capital loan for their business and kind of what the latest news was on that. So the Fed just announced this Tuesday that they are unlikely to have an interest rate cut earlier this year or even this year at all. He didn't rule out a rate increase, but he said that it's not likely. So their confidence is not as high as they're going to be able to have any rate cuts through the end of 2024, as key points being that their policies are not slowing inflation as much as they wanted it to. So how is this going to affect your business with this new news about the interest rates? It can happen in a few different ways, but Rich wanted to expand on that a little bit.
From a small business owner's perspective, I think the hawkish view taken by Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve as it relates to interest rates is surprising, because let's take it back and you juxtapose where we are now to where we were, say, at the end of fourth quarter 2023. At that point, the narrative coming from the Feds was that they were probably going to reduce interest rates, 4, 5, 6 times maybe in 2024. Certainly they were going to make the first rate cut likely maybe in March of 2024. Now they've completely backtracked from that position because they can't seem to get inflation under control. And the markets are betting that there could be some inflationary reduction or some short-term rate reductions here in 2024. But if you look at the futures and you're looking at what Wall Street is doing, they're starting to back away from the thought that there is actually going to be some reduction. So what does this really mean to a business owner and a small business owner and people that are actually on Main Street trying to make a living doing this? I think that there are 3 key takeaways that are going to have lasting effects for small business owners as it relates to the Fed's position on the short-term rate. The first is that I think that if you are in a business that are exposed to inflationary interest rates, that is, if you have any adjustable rate mortgages or you have any notes that are coming due or you're looking for lines of credit, I think that it is very important for you to figure out when those notes are due and what that looks like and start getting ahead of that, because you could be looking at interest rates doubling or in some cases tripling, which is going to kill potential cash flow within your business. And the availability of cash and working capital, I think, is greatly tightened because of the position right now that the Fed has on interest rates and the scare of new money going into the market and the current inflationary concerns. I think the second element that small businesses need to be aware of is basically the cost of goods sold. All of the items that you use in your business, be it plastic cups, or if you're a restaurant owner or whatever you need to buy in order to perform your service, you can anticipate that those cost of goods sold, those inputs, those supplies that you need are going to continue to be at historic highs, and that's going to continue to be the case. I don't see that they are going to continue to go down. And then lastly, because the unemployment rate is still so low, the likelihood of you coming in and finding employment or employees at maybe a better price point than what you anticipate, I think is going to be somewhat of a fool's errand. I don't see that the labor market is going to be softening in such a way that you're going to be able to add new people without paying a premium. So how can you do something within your business and try to position yourself the best way you can, considering some of the factors that I think are relevant? Let's go back to the loans. I think from a loan standpoint, to the extent that you need to find financing, you need to make sure that your books and your records are up to date and current. That would require current profit and loss, balance sheets. Banks are going to want to look at accounts receivables. They're going to want to have a very detailed insight into your operations, both for the end of year 2023. So if you have your taxes done, you're going to need those. You're going to need a full set of books, but also, and probably more importantly, they're going to want to know what your books look like through end of 2024, whenever you're going to apply for your loan and what you're going to do.
So it looks like the conditions aren't going to change much. The current conditions that are affecting the economy and all small business owners and business owners in general, you're going to need to maintain the course as it is or find additional ways to cut costs by upskilling, by finding other ways to save money on the more administrative type functions that you can send to somebody else and maybe free up your employees for more revenue generating activities. because the conditions in the economy, according to Jerome Powell, and the sticky inflation that's happening is going to continue for at least this year and maybe even longer. There's been comparisons coming out now about stagflation in the 70s and comparisons where there is high inflation and high unemployment. We don't have necessarily the unemployment part, but that phenomenon lasted a decade. So this economic conditions that exist today and are unexpectedly lasting through the end of this year, when they were earlier intents from the Fed were to have some type of rate cut in 2024, that has changed now. And it's possible these conditions could stay in place for longer than anyone really wants or needs. But that's just the conditions released. So it's possible then that these conditions are going to be around for longer than anyone has anticipated, including the Fed, for the current economic climate for business owners.
Important to have very good books, because without that, there's no bank that's going to allow you to borrow money. Secondarily, you need to revisit and take a look at your budgets. Start looking to maybe add to some of the cost and increase what you believe the expenses are going to be in order to meet your cash flow needs looking into the third and fourth quarters of 2024, because I personally don't believe that we're going to see any relief from increased pressures and basically inflation. I still think it's alive and well. And lastly, when you take a look at the employees that you have, and business is good, right? The economy apparently is doing better than what everyone would expect it, and maybe your business is to the point where you need to add people. I think one thing that you need to look is probably upskilling some of the people that could be loyal within your organization. And upskilling, in my mind, would be removing tasks that can be otherwise outsourced or could be otherwise removed from one person and allow that person to elevate their skill set so they can provide better value and a better rate of return in your own personal business. So each of those aspects can be handled by a variety of outsourcing firms, firmTRAK Solutions being one of those options. If you wanted to have a good set of books and you wanted to be able to offshore, or not offshore, but outsource some of the work that maybe is administrative in nature for your firm in order to allow upskilling, firmTRAK Solutions is a way to do it. But I think that all small business owners should be aware of what the Fed's doing, because it does impact us here on Main Street, more so than it probably does the folks on Wall Street. So we appreciate the opportunity to chat with you on any of your concerns and any of the options that I brought up today. Again, you can reach out to Ryan or I at firmtraksolutions.com.